Yeah, be on the mic 910 The Fan, 105.1 FM. Let's bring this thing home. Always excited to talk to our guy, AWOD Radio, about the Commanders. Little nervous, though, this week. Talk me off the ledge. Why isn't Daniel Jones going to run crazy on these guys like he always does?
I think Daniel Jones is going to run crazy on these guys, but I think Jayden Daniels is going to run for more yards. That's my hope for a Commanders victory, is that we beat them in a shootout, that we score more points than the Giants, simply because I just don't really trust the Commanders' defense to get off the field. We didn't see that week one, especially with the fact that the Bucs went 8 out of 9 putting points on the board in terms of drives. And so I do think the Commanders only win this game by putting up 25, 28, 30 points this game.
I think one of the things that bugs me, anytime there's a new team, a new regime, a new whatever in Ashburn, we hear things that they think are fresh that aren't fresh at all. And so when you hear, Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, like, we got to work on our communication and, just nail that down. Like, I've been hearing that for 20 years now. I've been listening to this for so long. You just got to communicate better. I'm tired of we've just got to communicate better. We've heard that for so long. It gets me frustrated earlier than I probably have the right to be, given that these guys are new and it's only 1 week into their time here.
No, you're so right about that. I mean, Jonathan Allen said the same thing, right? Everything that we made a mistake on, it's correctable. Well, why didn't you correct it before the game? We're tired of hearing that from you guys week after week, year after year. I'm not sure how much the defense will be improved just because of Joe Witt's schemes and Dan Quinn's coaching style, because the talent's just not there in the secondary. But I wanted to point to two positives defensively. Jamin Davis made a play. Hey, that's all we can ask for. Made a play, made a second play.
Yeah.
He's going to get more snaps this week because of that. I guarantee that.
Ooh.
And Frankie Louvu was all over the field. And so I think Louvu was close to 2 sacks. When I rewatched the film, he had one play where he smacked into Jonathan Allen, right? And the guys just smashed each other. That could have been Baker Mayfield. I mean, that could have knocked Baker out of the game. That's how hard I think he hit his own teammate there. So I think Louvu will get after the quarterback much better this weekend.
My hot take of the week, if Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne don't get better this week, I think you're going to hear a lot of chatter about them around the trade deadline, which is going to be coming up before you know it. It's an early trade deadline in the NFL. Those are two guys who have movable contracts who other teams would want. And if Adam Peters sees, I need a lot of draft picks to fix this thing, I think those two guys could be on the chopping block sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I hope we don't get to that point in the season, but as the losses pile up, you certainly think this team could be sellers rather than buyers at the deadline. Over to the offensive side of the ball, how does Jayden get more of his receivers involved?
Yeah, and Terry McLaurin was close a couple times last week. You go back and watch, and it wasn't the numbers were bad for Terry McLaurin, just that one that they force-fed to him, and then he ran into the defense. Certainly, fantasy football player, you look at, what's this guy doing? This guy got open a couple times. He ran some good routes. There's a trust-building element that's going to have to happen here over time, and this is something that hasn't happened except for really, I would say, Taylor Heinicke is the only guy who's come in and understood, I can throw the ball to this guy. He'll catch it no matter what. Everybody else, every other quarterback's trained when the receiver gets separation, that's when you throw the ball. Terry's not a separation guy. I'm sure we could pull the advanced stats on this, obviously. But you get the sense that Terry's a guy who thrives in a contested 50-50 catch. And he's got to earn the trust, both of Jayden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury. Go ahead and throw the ball to him. Even if he doesn't look open, he's going to come down with it. We've seen that so many times. I think about the home opener against the Chargers, where he just pockets that one on the sideline. Such a great catch. That's a Terry McLaurin catch. Not open, fully contested, comes down with it, moves the chains.
Yeah, and I would argue that Terry McLaurin creates just enough separation that he can make those contested catches, right? I mean, if a guy's blanketed you, the contested catch becomes a lot harder. If you have a little bit of room, then you can get your hands out, and I do really trust him to make a catch on the 50-50 ball. I think Jayden will learn, I've got to target Terry more on third down. I want to point to the pass to Olamide Zaccheaus on the right side of the field there. And that was a comeback route in which it was kind of like Jayden just went to his first read there, but that guy was blanketed. Terry's going to find a way to create a little bit of separation, enough separation that he will make that catch on third down. And so I think moving forward, especially this week, I want to see Terry McLaurin be the guy on third down if it's not Zach Ertz in the middle of the field.
I want more Zach Ertz, too. That's exactly where I was going. I want more not the running backs catching the ball, which they're great at. And certainly B-Rob and Eckler both had a lot of catches, got out of the backfield just fine. But they didn't have a lot of runs. 14 runs for B-Rob, I think 2 for Eckler last week. You need the running backs to run better, which starts at the offensive line, includes them. You need the receivers to be more involved in the passing game. You need the tight ends to be more. Everybody needs to slide down into their role a little bit. And Cliff Kingsbury hasn't shown us everything he's going to show us. You didn't see all the packages, all the looks. Those will emerge as we go through the season here. But this is the week to throw a few new wrinkles out, right? Because I think we both understand I'm not a must-win game guy. I don't go there in week 2. But if you lose this one, the implications for the fan base, not for the team could still beat Cincy. The implications for the fan base, though, are not great. I think you're going to have people tuning out and saying, all right, like, I still like DQ. I still like Adam Peters. But this is a year away from being polished enough to be ready.
What's such a shame about Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, and you're right, they didn't have enough carries together combined. They didn't have enough rushing yards. But my best play of the game, the biggest explosive play, was the play in which both of them were on the field at the exact same time. Jaden dumps it off to Brian Robinson. Eckler's blocking for him in front. Some really good blocking. Unfortunately, it was called back because of the block in the back for Zacchaeus there. But that was the best play of the game in which both of them were on the field at the exact same time. And I want more of that moving forward, especially this week, because Kayvon Thibodeau, the Giants have the pass rushers to force Jaden. Either he's going to take some sacks, which I hope doesn't happen, or he's going to have to get rid of the ball super quick. And that could be the dump-offs to Eckler and B-Rob.
You got burned last week in prediction time. Are you jumping back on the horse? What's our prediction here?
Of course I am, and of course I'm going to pick the Commanders to get the win. I mean, Daniel Jones is 5-1-1 against Washington. Daniel Jones will eat. He will have a bounce-back game in which Giants fans will feel a little bit more comfortable about him being the starting quarterback. I think he probably throws for 2 touchdowns, runs for 1. We're talking about a game in which both teams get over 24 points here. So I'm going to say Commanders win 28-25.
I got the Commanders winning. I'll go lower scoring than you're going on. Give me a 21-17. It's the NFL. These are close games. I think getting Austin Seibert to kick it through the uprights early would be huge. You think about last week, those 2 missed field goals loomed really large. Could have been 23-20 entering the fourth quarter. Not to say they would have won, but it would have been a competitive ball game. Special teams so important. We'll see if they've got their guy or not.
I totally agree. I mean, we talked about it all offseason. This team, the talent on this team is not good enough, and so their margin of error, they're going to be in games, hopefully. They can't afford to miss not even 1 field goal, let alone 2.
Always appreciate the time, Awad. We'll be back. You can check our videos on YouTube, AWOD Radio. 3 hours coming up next. You're listening to 910 The Fan, now 105.1 FM.